trust me to wait until I'm editing to remember to do this intro, but welcome to episode 7 of Read the Beats. We're going to be here with Nell. Thank you so much, Nell. Let's just get straight into this. All right, here we go. We're going to get straight into this. I'm so excited. Thank you again, Nell. I'm excited. I don't really know what to expect in terms of songs from Nell. Nell is a zoologist, and there is a prompt to listen to favorite songs. To listen to favorite songs from the zoologists from Pokemon. So we may see some of those songs that were on that little playlist, but if we don't, I have no idea what to expect, and I'm so excited. Let's get straight into this.
Hi, Jess. So as you know, I've started incorporating more music into my channel, specifically for sprints. So I was so excited when you invited me to be part of your Read the Beat series. So I have 3 songs for you. These aren't like greatest of all time favorites because that would just be way too hard to try to narrow that down to just 3. So I decided to go more modern, and I picked 2 that were relatively recent releases, and then one that isn't quite as recent, but it's only a couple of years old, so still, again, relatively recent. The first song is Die With a Smile by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. This is kind of a cheat code song because it is a recent release, but it has an old school feel. I love Bruno Mars, love 24 Karat Magic, one of my favorite albums of all time. Everything on that album, everything he's done since that album, everything he's done with like Anderson .Paak and now Lady Gaga. The vibe of that music is just perfectly nostalgic, and he is incredibly talented and a fantastic entertainer.
So I'm getting 2 things straight off the bat. One, recent music, so recent release. There's a song, not a song, but a book that's coming to mind immediately. But then I'm also getting nostalgia from this as well. So maybe one that is a recent-ish release that kind of gives nostalgic vibes. I'm actually thinking, kind of like Grady Henry. Actually, My Best Friend's Exorcism. It's the first book that just kind of comes to mind with that. I don't know whether it would work with the lyrics or anything like that, but we'll see. I haven't heard that song. I do love Lady Gaga. I do love Bruno Mars. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. But that's kind of the vibe that I'm going for immediately.
Die With a Smile is such a beautiful song, and it's even better watching it performed live. The next song is Same Old Story by the Driver Era. I love the Driver Era. I have been a big fan of theirs ever since their first EP. Honestly, I've been a fan of theirs since like back in the day when they were still R5. I have loved all of the Driver Era's songs. I've seen them in concert multiple times, and it's always a great show. I picked this song in particular because this is their newest release from their new Obsession album, which drops in April. And then for the last song, of course, I had to put my OG fave Sabrina Carpenter's Nonsense in the ring, the original, not the Christmas remix. Now, I know that Sabrina has recently gained a lot of attention and a lot of fans in like the last year or so, but I've been listening to her music since like 2015, back when she was doing like country, or maybe it's considered folk music, before the Olivia Rodrigo drama, before the Taylor Swift tour, before Espresso and Short and Sweet. We were in the trenches listening and jamming out to songs like Eyes Wide Open and Almost Love, okay? Nonsense, I think, though, is probably the song of hers that I listen to the most, which is why I decided to pick that one instead of picking one of her like older classics or something off of like the Short and Sweet album. So yeah, those are all of my song picks. I can't wait to see what you end up reading based on this list.
Okay, so immediately I haven't heard any of these songs, which is great. I love listening to new music and kind of getting a feel for different music, and incorporating books into that is really, really good as well. I gave you a bit of a hint as to what I was thinking for Die With a Smile. I'm also now thinking something with either dual perspective or multiple authors. So there's actually quite a lot immediately that is coming to mind with the Bruno Mars Lady Gaga. As far as the Driver Era, I haven't heard of these guys at all, which is really interesting. I can't wait to hear some of their stuff. Same Old Story. I don't really have anything off the top of my head that I could think for that. I'm thinking possibly like a book about a road trip, because the driver era. I know that's like the musicians, but like I mean, there's like it's still part of the whole prompt interpretation thing. So maybe a song featuring a road trip, or maybe a book that would be easily read on a road trip. Um, so that's kind of immediately what's coming to mind. Now the other one was Sabrina Carpenter, and again I haven't heard really anything from Sabrina Carpenter. I think some of her new stuff is starting to play on the Edge, which is the radio station here. Um, but Sabrina's never really been someone that I've listened to, so it'd be really interesting to kind of hear her voice, hear her song, her lyrics. As far as nonsense, no clues, honestly. Maybe something that's a bit satirical, maybe, because satirical nonsense. I mean, this is what I'm getting without even hearing the music, so it'll be really interesting once I do give them a listen to see what I come up with. Okay, so it has been a little while. And let me tell you, I had so much fun coming up with the books for Read the Beats this time around. This is going to show you just like how creative you can be with some of these songs and what kind of prompts you can come up with. First, we have Die With a Smile, and that was done by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, and it took me a little while to think about this one, but I thought, looking on my shelves, the second book to the Sookie Stackhouse series, Living Dead in Dallas. The reason I chose this for Die With a Smile is I reckon Sookie Stackhouse died at the hands of Bill or Eric. She would be smiling. She would be pretty happy. And Sookie herself is very kind of cutesy and smiley and stuff like that. At least in the beginning here she is. So yeah, very excited to read this. I would love to see how close this second book is to the TV series. Yeah, so that is Die With a Smile. And I think this is going to be the perfect choice for that. Now, for song number 2, we had Same Old Story by the Driver Era, and I really like that song. That's pretty awesome. Now, the book that I have chosen is book 10. I think I'm up to book 10. I'm not actually sure. In the Famous Fire series. Now, the reason for that is Same Old Story. Like, it's a long series, and the stories are very much kind of same, but different. The kids kind of get together, they go on an adventure, they randomly get themselves into trouble, and then they get themselves out of it. And so there's that, and there's also a line in the song towards the end about a long series or a long story or something along those lines. But kind of hearing that made me think of the Famous Five, and I love the Famous Five, and I thought it would be perfect being a long series and the structure of the stories being relatively the same. So yeah, very happy about that one. Now the third song that we got was Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter. And this wasn't a bad song. It was alright. It was very, very poppy, and the first thing that came into my head when I saw this and heard it was a girl with an obsession with a boy. And so that kind of immediately, it's kind of like the wrong way around, but it immediately made me think of something like Haunting Adeline, where he actually has the obsession with her, but like the main focus on that being obsession. So I thought maybe like a dark romance and something like that, and I wasn't really into that. I do have the second book for Haunting Adeline. I think it's Hunting Adeline. I'm not really keen on reading that. And then I kind of mulled it over a little bit longer, and I was thinking about one of my other Read the Beats, and how enjoyable that was to make because of a certain book. And this book is a book that doesn't take itself seriously. It's a story. It's a fantasy. It knows that it's not the greatest in the world, That is Apprentice. Well, the first one is Assistant to the Villain. This one is Apprentice to the Villain, which is the second book in the series, and I mean, she does kind of have an obsession with her boss. So there's that. But this is kind of a nonsense book, really. It doesn't really have much. Well, the first one didn't really have much of a plot. I'm not expecting this one to have much of a plot. I don't expect I'm going to need to use any brain cells for this book. So that's another kind of advantage there. So nonsense really kind of fits the, not genre, but like the overall feel of this book. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be reading for Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter. I'm so looking forward to this. It's just going to be like a cozy up in bed and just chill out. So yes, these are the two physical books that I have on my Read the Beats TBR, and the Famous Five as well. And I'm so looking forward to this. This is going to be a really nice, easy break after February, which was chaotic beyond read. So let's get this vlog started. There's no Lafayette. Oh man, I whispered, oh shit. Lafayette, the cook, for one shift at Malotte's, had been shoved into the back seat. He was naked. It was Lafayette's thin brown foot, its toenails painted a deep crimson, that had kept the door from shutting, and it was Lafayette's corpse that smelled to high heaven. Lafayette was the best part of the show. All right. Oh, sorry, did I wake you up? Excuse how dark it is. It's all of a sudden decided to piss down. I am up to page 100 of Living Dead in Dallas, which is book 2 of the Sookie Stackhouse series. Reading that for Die With A Smile. Yes. I'm talking. Okay. Reading that for Die With A Smile is fine so far. It's quite different from the TV series in the way that there's a couple of characters that were in the TV series that aren't main characters here. But apart from that, it's pretty close to the TV series. Really, do you have to do that right now? While Neo gives himself a bath. This is about Sookie and Bill and Eric and essentially the whole gang. They've gone to, well, Sookie and Bill have gone to Dallas, which is in Texas, because they need her to kind of figure out what's happening in Dallas. There's some vampires that have gone missing and stuff like that. So yeah, she's kind of been tasked with looking into the humans' minds and stuff like that. She's a telepath. She's a very bright and bubbly person with a very fiery personality, which I really enjoy. Like when she gets backed into a corner, she's a boss. I do kind of reiterate the fact that I think, like with her character, when she does end up dying, she will die with a smile on her face. because that's just like the type of person she is. Not necessarily at the hands of vampires, but just in general. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's kind of getting like a 3.5 at the moment, which is respectable. But yeah, I will catch up with you probably when I finish, because it's So I've literally just finished Living Dead in Dallas, which is the second book in the True Blood series, and it was fun. It wasn't spectacular, but it was fun. You know, it was Suki that went to Dallas to kind of look for this missing vampire, and things got a bit more heated than expected with this church who are like really they're really passionate about what they believe in. If you've seen the series or read the series, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was fine. Relating it back to the song, Die with a Smile, I believe is the name of the song. Suki is a very smiley person. She's always smiling, even when she's nervous, and especially when she's nervous, she gets this really tight grin. And I thought it was really, really poignant when, you know, she got back to like the vampire den in Dallas, and she was explaining what was happening, and she's grinning really tightly, and the head vampire is like, what is she doing, what's happening? And Bill's like, she's tense, she's tense. So yeah, it was good. Best parts were definitely any scene with Eric in it. Eric was amazing and fantastic. And yeah, he was certainly smiling and enjoying himself a lot. Nothing apart from that spectacularly happened. I'm giving it a 3.75. It was fine. It's enough for me to kind of want to continue on with the series, purely because of the nostalgia factor from watching the series before reading it. The timeline is so wonky. From the books to the series, to the TV series, so wonky and so different. But that's kind of what happens between books and series. I'm still really salty about Lafayette's murder, although I'm very glad that, spoiler alert, but the murderers do get their comeuppance in a spectacularly supernatural way. Yeah, it was good. I am going to continue on with the Famous Five, the second book in that bind up, and then I will start Apprentice to Villain. So I will see you later. or I am going to be working on The Famous Five, book 10 of The Famous Five out of 21, I believe, not including any of the short stories and the colouring books and things like that. And I'm doing that for a vlog, so our sprint layout is going to be a little bit different today, just so I can like clip it and edit it into the vlog and stuff like that. It's going to be really fun. Today, everybody, let me know what you're working on. I'm not sure how long we're going to be here today. I'm obviously going to finish The Famous Five because it's very short. They're about 200 pages and they're kids' books. So, yeah, very short. All right, welcome back from that sprint. How did everybody go? I got to chapter 17 of 22. And yeah, it's good. It's The Famous Five. It's nostalgia. And that's exactly what I was going for. Very nostalgic, kind of very cozy. What I call, yeah, they'd be cozy mystery. I mean, they're 5 kids. Well, 4 kids and a dog, that are just like solving random mysteries that they keep kind of putting themselves into and keep stumbling across. And yeah, it's really fun. It's interesting, and I don't know whether it's just because of this book where they haven't actually gone into Kieran Cottage yet, but it's interesting that they've taken out the name of the aunt. Which I believe is one of the things that got censored as time has gone with this book. The aunt's name is Fanny, and like the world's kind of gotten to a point where like even that is too offensive as a name. I mean, when I first started reading this book, I was shocked by the name, but like I since learned that back when this was written, and you know, in England, it actually wasn't that uncommon of a name. But yeah, I believe that's one of the things that's been edited out of The Famous Five, and that just annoys the crap out of me. I want to get my hands on an old copy of like the whole series, because that's unedited. That's like what Enid Blyton wrote and meant it to be. So yeah, that was my sprint. That is also my spiel for the day. How did everybody else go? All right, welcome back. Get my blanket back. I finished my book. I finished The Famous Five. Very happy. Very happy. I mean, they're nothing special. They're not like crazy or anything like that. Like, you don't need any brain cells to be able to comprehend what's going on. 5 kids always seem to get into trouble and find a mystery. It was really cute. It brought me back to like my childhood when I first started reading The Famous Five and stuff like that. And this was a story that I hadn't read before, so it was nice kind of not knowing what was going to happen as well. Yeah, I really liked it. I'm giving it a 4-star pretty much purely because of the nostalgia vibe. But I guess if it wasn't for that, it would be more like a 3.5, I guess, because like, again, it's a kid's book. It's, as an adult, I'm obviously not the target audience, but it is like, for a kid, they're fantastic. If you're reading it for the first time as an adult, they're not like the best things ever written or anything like that. But the nostalgia factor is what gives it a 4-star for me. Okay, so again, I'm editing this by the time you're seeing this. I didn't end up finishing the second book by the time this is out. I'll still continue reading it and stuff like that because I really want to continue the series. Like the song says, is I never want it to end. And that's how I feel about the Famous Five. I never want the series to end, and it is going to end at some point, but I can just go back and read them. And it's going to be nostalgia all over again because I haven't read any of the early ones for quite a while. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing like spectacularly that matched up with the song Same Old Story, but the prompt kind of matches because all the books kind of follow the same formula. They are very much same but different. You get the 4 kids, they have an adventure, they get into trouble, they solve a mystery, yada yada, rinse and repeat, and that's kind of how it goes, like, for the whole, I'm guessing, for the whole series. At least that's how it has been laid out. And so yeah, that's how the prompt kind of matches there with the book, and of course me not wanting the series to end. The 4-star still stands. I think the series as a whole is a 4-star series, although yeah, I don't know, if I let the nostalgia really kind of get to me, those early books are 5 stars. But yeah, I'm very excited to continue the series. So I am reading Apprentice to the Villain for Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter. And I am really enjoying this so far. I am 78 pages in. And yeah, it's really good. It is nonsense. It is. Like, there's nothing... The author is trying to make it high stakes with some of the stuff that's going on in this book, but really it's not. It's a book to relax with. It's a book that requires no brain cells. This little talk is going to have a bit of spoilers. So if you haven't read the first book and you want to, then this is your warning. But at the moment, the villain is in the castle and is being held prisoner by the king, and stuff like that. And so Evie is like, all of a sudden she's this badass, and she goes to the castle with like a lot of his guards and stuff like that, and she frees him, and now that they're back at the manor and stuff like that, there's like this kind of weird romance thing going on that he is still trying to deny. And there's some kind of prophecy to do with the villain and something to do with like taking the lands and magic and stuff like that. And so they're, at the moment, they're on their way, or they've just got to the Kissing Caves, I believe is the name of it. And like, this is what I mean by nonsense, okay? So like, there's this big, like, no one can pass this immortal sentry that is like guarding the caves and stuff like that. And the villain says, my magic cannot be used against a sentry, none can. Passing one requires careful trickery, a mastery of the mind, an intellect that is unmatched by even the gods that made our world. So it sounds pretty serious. And then Sage is just like, without warning, Sage clicks her tongue and shouldered past Tristan. I would like to enter, she said, then smiled politely at the being. Please. The sentry lifted its spear and took a wide step to the side. It's just stuff like that where it's like, it's trying to be big, but it's also not taking itself seriously. And that's what I really appreciate. And the song doesn't take itself seriously either. And so in that way, I think Apprentice to the Villain is actually perfect for this. So I'm going to keep reading. It is currently, I think, the 28th of April. So I'm cutting this fine. But I don't think it's going to take me too long. I have an audiobook. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing that. And I will see you in a wee bit. Are you going to stay? Are you going to stay? So I am currently 50% into Apprentice to the Villain. And I'm still really enjoying it. It's really, like, it's a really fun, easy read. No brains are required. At the moment, we're kind of on this adventure trying to find Evie's mum. They kind of like go between Evie and Sage and stuff like that. So yeah, we're trying to find her mum because she's got something integral. Hi. She's quite integral into this, like, this curse or whatever is happening to Renadon at the moment. Like, the magic is going really, really wonky. Like, the villain's magic is going really wonky, and all of a sudden his charms and protections aren't working against the mana and things like that. And so something is definitely, like, whatever this bedtime story is definitely starting to come true. And so he's trying to find her mum because her mum has some kind of integral part to play in this, and I don't know. Look at this cat. Yeah, so she's got some kind of really integral part to play in this. So they're just trying to find her, and she's very, like, elusive. They've caught up with Evie's cousin, and Evie's cousin is like, she probably went back home, meaning Evie's home. And Evie was like, well, she never came back. And so the cousin was like, well, just because you didn't see her doesn't mean she wasn't there. So some kind of magic going on there, I think. I don't know. I'm thinking if they go home, it's gonna be. Well, no, it can't be a dead end because otherwise, why would they mention it? Why would she mention it? You're getting up now. I don't know. It's interesting. Neo is wanting to. Neo is saying, "Shut up, Mum." Hey, this is Neo, by the way. Look at that close up. Trigger warnings for close up of cats. So I'm going to keep reading this.
it was actually currently the 31st of March at the moment, but I am on chapter 41. Can definitely get this done today. I'm not worried about that. You guys can't see what he's doing, but he's just totally rolled on his back. Going, rub my belly, Mum.
And look who forgot to update you at the end of Apprentice to the Villain. One day I'll get this Booktube thing right. I really enjoyed this. This was either a 4 or 4.5. I can't really remember. It's been a while. Yeah, totally nonsense book. Absolutely. Doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, the stakes are rising. Like, don't get me wrong, it is rising stakes, but it's like the characters are so hilarious, and you could argue whether that's in a good way or a bad way. But the characters are so hilarious that it kind of it suits that whole nonsense thing that we're talking about. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and is quite funny at some parts. And like even the romance, really cheesy. Just like the song, was quite cheesy as well. And like again, that's not always a bad thing. You know, sometimes you need something that's cheesy to just break things up, and that's exactly what this book did. It was really good. I'm actually really looking forward to the third one coming out, hopefully this year. I'm not entirely sure, but yes, a very good read the beats for March. We had Apprentice to the Villain, which was great. We had Living Dead in Dallas, which was pretty good. And then we had The Famous Five, which is always really good as well. So have any of you guys read like The Sookie Stack House, The Famous Five? If you've read any of those, which of those are your favourite books? Also, have you read Apprentice to the Villain? Are you going to read Apprentice to the Villain? Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you are a booktuber and you would like to do Read the Beats with me, and I haven't gotten in contact with you already, then please look at my description and all of my socials will be there. Just get in touch because I love doing Read the Beats with people. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Until next time. Bye-bye.